So beauty in its absolute best expression is storytelling. And I have an old boss who shall remain nameless, but he has a quote that I really, really love, that success in beauty is defined by the poets. And people who are able to create amazing story arcs and stories about the products, not just from an efficacy perspective or 33% more or 5 times more effective than the other product, because consumers, especially now, are able to see through that kind of proof point marketing, if you will. And there's a lot more interest in what's the founder story for a brand like an Anastasia Beverly Hills, or for a Briogeo, which is a brand that we just acquired. What is the ingredient story and the sourcing story behind those ingredients, from a natural origin perspective or a sustainability perspective? And I could go on with examples like that, but beauty to me is really a storytelling driven business. And that really gets to be a reflection of what types of retailers and retail partners are the right partners to help tell that story. And it's a constant tension. I think it's a healthy tension, because of course retailers want to be able to offer a wide variety of products and have a selection of products. And of course they need to standardize the way that they manage things from a content perspective or from an in-store perspective. So I think there's always a little bit of a tension of the brand wants it to look exactly like the brand, and the retailer wants as much standardization as there is possible. So I use that as kind of a broad stroke statement. And then to take your point around something like a partner like an Amazon, they are of course very template driven, very formula driven, very standardized approach driven. So for brands to be able to play effectively in that space, the brand has to have a very, very strong presence prior to partnering with that partner, with that retailer. And I find that, and again, speaking in very broad strokes, not to pick on ourselves or pick on any competitors, if you have a brand that has been in physical distribution for a very long time, there tends to be some type of diversion, or the product is showing up in places where you wouldn't ideally want it to be. Mm-hmm. And in that case, it can erode the brand. Whereas brands that have started from scratch, so to speak, in the past several years, past 5 or 7 years, and they've able to establish a very, very strong retail presence, a very, very strong D2C presence that is super clear, the branding is on point, the product is not showing up in places where you don't want it to show up, it becomes almost a more straightforward equation to partner with a retailer like Amazon, because that brand is already very, very strong. So that would be what I would say in terms of the way the idiosyncrasies bring themselves to life in beauty e-commerce. And I think that's why partners like Sephora, Look Fantastic, Ulta, Nykaa in India, Bellezza NA Web in Brazil, that have almost a little bit of that shop in shop type of approach that's really inspired by a Taobao or a Jingdong or whatever from China. That's why those retailers, I think, are so successful, because they allow for that shop in shop experience. Consumers can experience the brand and the brand story in a seamless, holistic fashion. And it provides a point of difference for those retailers versus the marketplace players like Amazon. Versus those types of players. So I don't think it's that necessarily different for beauty. I'd say the biggest difference is that beauty it's about the story for the product and about the story for the consumer. And we need places that allow us to tell that story. And those are the places where we're going to be the most successful. And if we're successful there, then theoretically the retailer is going to be successful as well.